There are women in this world who carry something that cannot be explained by how they look, how much they earn, or how clever they sound. You can't point to it directly, and you can't measure it. It's older than fashion, older than trends, older than whatever people are obsessed with this year. It's a presence, a weight, a quiet intensity that fills a space the moment they enter it. Some people feel drawn closer without knowing why. Others feel uneasy, as if something inside them has been gently disturbed. This presence isn't chosen, it isn't learned, and it certainly isn't something they can turn on and off. It exists whether they want it to or not. This kind of power doesn't live on the surface. You won't always see it smile or hear it in a voice. It lives deeper in the way they affect people without trying, in the way conversations shift when they're present, in the way others suddenly reveal things they didn't plan to say. These women don't demand attention, yet attention finds them anyway, and that alone tells you this isn't about performance, it's about energy, it's about something moving beneath awareness, something ancient and instinctive that people respond to before logic gets a vote. People often misunderstand this. They assume power must be loud or dramatic. They think influence requires force or persuasion, but the most powerful things rarely shout. Gravity doesn't announce itself, yet everything responds to it. And some women carry that same kind of pull. They don't need to explain who they are. They don't need to convince anyone. Music. Their presence does the work for them. When someone carries strong inner depth, others feel it immediately. They begin to attach meaning to her without realizing it. They project their hopes, their longings, their fears. Music. To one person, she seems comforting and wise. To another, intimidating and unreachable. To someone else, she feels like a mirror reflecting parts of themselves they've been avoiding. None of this is intentional on her part, and that's what makes it complicated. Like a music kicks. She becomes more than herself in the eyes of others. She becomes a symbol. And symbols are powerful, but they are rarely treated gently. This is why women with this kind of presence are often both admired and misunderstood. People feel something around them but can't name it, and so they fill in the blanks. They assume motives. They imagine strength where there may be exhaustion. They see mystery where there may simply be depth. And because this attention arrives uninvited, music, it can feel isolating when people don't see you as a person. Connection becomes strangely difficult. Music, even when you're surrounded by others. What looks like confidence from the outside can feel like pressure on the inside. What looks like calm can hide constant awareness, because carrying this presence means constantly being felt, even when you want to disappear into the background. It means being remembered after brief encounters. It means being talked about often inaccurately. Music. And it means learning early that attention doesn't always come with understanding, and yet this silent gravity is only the first sign, because alongside it lives a deep contradiction, one that shapes how these women move through the world. They are often deeply connected to people. Friends find them easily. Strangers open up to them quickly. Lovers feel seen in ways they haven't felt before. People seek them out for advice, comfort, clarity. There is a sense that being near them brings something into focus, and in many ways it does. These women tend to notice what others miss. They read tone, silence, and subtle shifts with ease. They understand emotions. Before they're spoken, they sense when something is off, even if everything looks fine on the surface. And yet beneath all of this connection, there is often a profound sense of being alone. Not lonely in the simple sense of lacking company, but alone in a deeper music way. Alone in how they experience the world. Alone in how much they see. Because seeing clearly can separate you from those who prefer not to look. When you understand people deeply, you also understand how rarely they understand themselves, and that gap can be isolating. These women often feel as if they live slightly apart, even while being involved. They can sit in a room full of people and still feel inwardly distant, not because they judge others, but because their inner world is rich, complex, and constantly active. They process life deeply, and depth doesn't always find an easy match. Surface-level connection can feel unsatisfying. Small talk can feel draining, and pretending music not to notice things can feel dishonest, so they learn to move between worlds, outwardly present, inwardly private, available yet guarded, warm yet selective. This balance isn't calculated, it's learned through experience, through realizing that not everyone who wants access deserves it, through understanding that their energy affects others and that they must protect it if they want to remain whole. Another sign appears in how these women relate to transformation. Change doesn't frighten them in the same way it frightens others. Loss, endings, and uncertainty still hurt, but they don't destroy them. Instead, these experiences seem to shape them. There's a pattern of shedding old versions of themselves, of outgrowing environments, relationships, and identities. They don't cling to what no longer fits, even when letting go is painful. This can look unstable from the outside. People may say they change too much, that they're hard to pin down, but what's really happening is growth. These women feel when something has run its course. They sense when staying would mean shrinking. Music. And so they move forward even without guarantees, even without applause. This willingness to transform gives them a quiet resilience. They trust that they can survive endings. They know that breaking down doesn't mean breaking apart. And because of this, they often become guides for others during times of transition, not because they have all the answers, but because they aren't afraid of the questions. There is also a strong relationship with truth, not the polished version, not the socially acceptable one, but the uncomfortable kind. These women have a low tolerance for falsehood, especially in themselves. They feel when they are out of alignment, and that feeling doesn't let them rest. They cannot easily live a life that contradicts their inner values. Even when compromise would make things easier, something inside resists. This inner honesty can make life harder in the short term. It can lead music to difficult conversations. It can end relationships that look good on paper. It can push them away from paths that promise security but feel empty. But over time it builds something rare, integrity, a sense of self that doesn't fracture under pressure, a life that, while not perfect, feels real. Because of this, people often trust them instinctively. They may not know why, but they feel that this woman won't pretend, that she won't flatter without meaning it, that her words carry weight because they come from alignment, not strategy. Another sign shows up in how these women deal with pain. They don't run from it, but they don't romanticize it either. Pain is something to be understood, music not performed.